welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about exactly how to pass the NAVLE. As some of you know, I recently passed the North American Veterinary Licensing Exam, and that made me qualify to, whenever I'm done with clinics, become a veterinarian, which is like huge, right? This is the biggest exam that us vet students have to endure, and I have finally passed it. A lot of people keep asking me since I posted that video about my techniques, my advice, my studies, my to-dos, my not to-dos. So now I'm making a video to kind of talk to you guys through my plan and what I did to pass the NAVLE, so buckle up. It's very important for you to prepare yourself mentally because this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Like, you have to learn how to study for long periods of time because this exam is a very long exam. If you want to know more details about the actual exam, you have to watch my other video, but basically, it's a whole day exam. It's 6 sections of 60 questions, and it's pretty rough. They're all really long, and you have to think about 1 minute and 8 seconds per question. So it's really important that you know how to manage your time correctly during the exam. So the mental preparation has to come not only for the day of, but for the studying of. So if I were you, I would start making time to study and kind of like have a slot in your schedule where every day you give a little bit of your time for it. In terms of mental preparedness, I think it's most important the day of. You have to go into that exam with a clean mindset and kind of like convince yourself that no matter what the outcome is, you're gonna give your best. There's gonna be questions that you're not gonna know the answer to, and that's just like how it is. You're not a superhuman, like it happens, and you have to just take every question like a grain of salt and just do your best, because honestly, if you focus yourself on one question and one question only that you can't remember or you can't answer correctly, then honestly, like, it's probably gonna affect you for the rest of the questions. So my advice for you to prepare yourself is take your question, give it that minute and nothing else. Once you answer it, answer as your best of your abilities and just let it be. Because honestly, every question is worth the same. So it's very important for you to give just that time for that question and just continue on. Remember, the most questions you get right, the more chances you have to pass it. So obviously this is a no-brainer. You have to study for this exam. I mean, this exam is huge and it's nerve-wracking because it's everything you've learned in 4 years of vet school in one exam. And you might think like, oh, like easy peasy, like I've done great in my exams and like, you know, in vet school. But honestly, there's some things in there that were super obscure, like, or things that were very specific, or things that I never really thought would be able to be testable, or like random things that you'd think only a specialist would know. So my advice for you is to study all the things that you can. Study everything that you know will probably be there, like the most common diseases for each species and like clinical stuff. I think it's very important that you know that there's gonna be a lot of communication questions, which is super random. No one takes the exam thinking like, oh yeah, communication. It was a good chunk of my exam, really. So prepare for that. But studying, how did I study for this exam? Like, you might think like, oh yeah, sounds easy, just study. Well, here's the thing, like, whatever, you have to figure out if you're like a solo learner or if you're someone that learns best with other people, and then you have to apply that. So for example, I know that I am best as a solo learner at the beginning, and then sharing or discussing things with other classmates, and that just helps me not only confirm what I do know or what I don't know, but also if I can teach it, then I definitely know it. So what I did for studying solo is that I purchased one of these programs that are available to study for the NAVLE. In my case, I chose the Vet Prep, and there's many companies that do these things. They do Suku Vet Prep. I know Suku has this thing where you can subscribe to them and have a free question sent to you every day for free again. Like, I did that since I think my 2nd year, and I've been getting just like random questions to my email, and those helped me, I think, a lot, even though I'm gonna admit that I didn't do them like every day. I just did get them. So in the end, if I had time for like a weekend or in between my rotations, then I would definitely get some done. But the one that I actually used was Vet Prep because my school actually provided it, which was really, really nice because I know it's not cheap, but it's very worth it because they offer not only like practice questions, but they also have these things that are like power pages, which are like little summaries by topic that I thought were really, really helpful, because if we start trying to learn about everything all over again, honestly, I don't know if that would be feasible. So basically, those power pages are like nice little summaries per species, per diseases, and they basically give you the gist of them. And also they have these little videos that kind of do the same thing as the power pages, but if you're tired of reading, then you can just watch the video. I basically did most of the Vet Prep. The Vet Prep, you can do like all these questions, which by the way, they have a ton of questions that you can answer individually, or you can answer them in like an exam form. So let's say if you want to do 60 questions in a row to kind of like get yourself practicing, then you can do that and you get a score at the end. And obviously they tell you which ones you got wrong and why, and it's really nice because I, for example, learn when I have things wrong, then I don't forget them. So after doing most of the Vet Prep, I did about 80-something% of it, just because timing, and honestly, like, I was so tired and consumed by the end of my studying time. I just decided that I was gonna talk through it with someone. So I had a friend with me, and him and I would FaceTime or Zoom at least like twice a week for the last bit of it. And during that time, we basically just like went through some of our practice questions and just discussed them. We answered them on our own and then talked through our options and kind of like what we thought was the right answer, and then we would look up the right answer and make sure that we were both on the right track. And I think that really, really helped me because not only were those questions different than the ones I used in Vet Prep, but it kind of like helped me confirm with someone else what my weaknesses and my strengths are. Also, I must mention that Vet Prep, once you get it, they offer you a 3-month or a 6-month schedule that they basically make for you. And this schedule is really cool because it's honestly the way I did it, because I needed some organization, and it gives you a schedule you can pick to complete the whole thing in 3 months or in 6 months, and it tells you what to do each day. So for example, like it's gonna be like horse week. So that week you're gonna do 2 power pages and 2 videos each day, and then do this amount of questions of random species and like that. Like every day has a different assignment for you, and that really helped me not only keep on track, but also during rotations I would get breaks and kind of like do those things in between. They were like my little homework, and it was kind of thoughtless. I can just continue my day, do a little bit when I can, and in the end of the day I would complete them. So the schedule really was helpful for me. For anyone that needs some organization or a little bit of a push, then that's for you. And then after studying all that time, it comes the time to practice. So you have already done all those practice questions that you got either from Sugu, from Vet Prep, or whatever the program it is you're doing, but you need to practice for the real deal in terms of time, because a lot of people can do excellent and are doing great answering their questions, but they might run out of time. And sometimes this is the reason why they don't pass it. So it's very important for you to take a practice exam by the ICVA. That is the same company that does the NAVLE, and that's the closest thing that I found was like the NAVLE. So you basically pay for a $50 exam, and it's a couple of hours and a couple of questions, and it's the most similar thing to the NAVLE in terms of like the format of the question and the timing. And if I were you, I would at least take one of those. I took a couple of those, and to be honest, nothing was as similar. After taking the NAVLE, I realized that that's probably the best thing I did. Not only because it prepared me, and I realized how much I needed to practice in terms of time and kind of know myself and be faster, but also at the end of the exam, it doesn't tell you what you got wrong, but it tells you percentages of the species that you did the best and the worst on, and the sections that you could improve on, which helped me a lot. Because, for example, at the beginning, I realized that I was strongest in my equine part, but weaker on my dog part. And I was like, oh, that's really weird, because I really thought I was good on my dog. So it made me realize that that's a big chunk of the NAVLE. It's the dog and cat. So I probably should have studied more for that. So that's what I did. I studied more for dog and cat, and I made a point to make myself stronger in that area. So when I took the ICVA exam again as a practice, I did go up on those sections. So it's very important for you to practice with ICVA exams because nothing gets closer than that, and it will really give you an idea of the real deal. So if you pass those, then you should probably be good for the NAVLE. This is a plus or minus. Like I said, this depends on what kind of a studier you are. I know for a fact that I needed to study by myself and kind of do my vet prep and prepare that way to then group study, but that is something that was fundamental for me and for passing, because to be honest, like I remembered a lot of things during the exam because of those discussions I had with my friend. So if that's the way you study, I definitely recommend get a partner. Maybe you guys can like gather practice questions, talk through those, and get a routine going on and hold yourself accountable, because it's really, really important to have support during this time. So the day or the week or the night before, I always tell everyone the most important part for me, which is something I learned in vet school before my finals. There was this professor that she would always tell us to just like sleep. And I know some people like to do the all-nighters and kind of study till the last minute. Like my mentality is like, whatever I don't know by 8 p.m. the night before, I just won't know. So it's better if you sleep and you have a clear mind the next day to actually perform to the best of your abilities, then try to study and try to grab an information in the last possible minute that is possibly not in your exam. So what I'm trying to tell you is you definitely need to put a time where you're gonna stop doing whatever you're doing and just sleep. I personally decided that the day before I was not gonna study, I was not gonna look at anything vet related, I was just gonna relax. So if I were you, that would be the thing that I would make sure I do, sleep. It's very important that you have a really good breakfast in the morning, because those are gonna be some really intense hours. You're gonna be sitting there looking at a monitor for the whole day. So not only have a good breakfast, but bring some snacks. I myself brought my favorite fruits, my favorite chocolates, a bag of nuts. Like honestly, whatever makes your soul happy, you should probably bring that, because whenever you have a little break, that's what you have to have, because your brain will need that refresher. I know that for most of the exam, I just went through the whole thing, but I did take a 15-minute break to stretch and to eat and to go to the bathroom. So make sure you have comfy clothes for the whole exam and have those snacks for whenever you take that break. And then the most important thing you need to keep in mind on that day is something I mentioned before. You need to go with the open mind. You need to go as positive as possible. No one leaves this exam thinking like, oh yeah, like I got it, like I'm such boss. Like no one leaves this exam feeling great about themselves. So just keep that in mind. Don't put yourself down. And just because you don't know an answer to a question, it does not mean you're not smart enough, you're capable, and you're not worth it. Because honestly, if you've gotten this far, chances are you're gonna pass it and you're gonna do great. And after you're done, you're gonna be so tired, you're probably not gonna know your name, but it's gonna pass, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna do just great. Just make sure you give your best whenever you don't know a question or a question is giving you a hard time. You just take it with a grain of salt and just let it go. Like, put your best answer. That's important. Don't leave it blank, because every point matters. So if you have anything wrong, it's okay, because it doesn't count for anything. But if you leave it empty or blank, you for sure will have it wrong. So take every point if you can, and then whatever you don't know, just put it in the hands of God. So those are my 2 cents on how to pass the NAVLE. I did as best as I could in that moment. I really didn't like kick myself so much for it, because I knew like I did the best I could, and that was all I got. So as long as you give the best that you can, I think you should be able to leave, go home, sleep, and have the peace that you deserve. And then a few weeks after that, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks after, I got my results by email. It was basically like a link from the ICVA saying that my results were ready. And then I opened it, and then I cried, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I know that if you prepare and you do these things, I think that you will be just fine. So I wish you all the best of luck. If you like this video, please like and subscribe if you haven't. And thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any other particular questions, or if there's something that I missed, please feel free to comment below. Let me know. I'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Best of luck to everyone, and I'll see you guys soon.